Hello, Envirothon Committee.
We are here today to present to you our water management plan to tackle our state problem.
Our plan will not only benefit our local community, but our environment and cropland as well.
Under the guidelines of our state problem, we have designed several different components to make an effective water management plan.
Our main goal is to ensure the integrity of White River for future generations by preventing further pollutions and erosion in the area of the river.
So, a little bit background on our exact problem. So, in the early 19th century, as the area that is now known as Lawrence County was first being settled, a lot of the settlements that were being established were located alongside White River for trading and commercial purposes, such as Fort Ritner, Palestine, Tunnelton, so on and so forth. Well, this brought about various economic and environmental calamities to the area. For example, timber was needed, so many trees were felled in the area for lumber, and this deprived the river of its riparian zone, which had previously held the soil together and had prevented erosion. And now, just about anything, any pollutants of any type could get into the river, and it just wrecked the ecosystem. And even after communities began to move away from relying on the river and transition to relying on the railroad, farming in the area still wreaked havoc upon the natural ecosystem, and to this day has prevented its recovery.
So we have some solutions we've come up with for stormwater. These solutions that our local community can do to prevent less pollutants into our water source is using absorption methods, like installing rain barrels for runoff of roofs, laying out mulch to absorb pollutant water, adding subdivision laws that would include more restrictions to water pollutants for the community, planting trees that absorb water like red maple, black gum, river birch, and also adding rain gardens in housing areas in inner cities. Rain gardens collect and slow stormwater runoff and increase the infiltration into the soil.
Stormwater has a big impact on aquatic ecology. Stormwater carries hazardous pollutants from the city or croplands, and with like mulches and oil from cars and trash, and gets into the soil and heads to the riverbank. And so much pollutant in the watershed, it cannot handle it, and in doing so, it erodes the riparian zone along the riverbank, and it allows the river to flood very easily. And it can get infiltrated into the silt loam, and it can get into the karst and groundwater, which will pollute it all, and the river cannot use the water cycle efficiently enough to be able to filter all the pollutant out.
In many places along the White River, there's farmland, and the farmland has eroded soil, and fertilizers are washed into the water from the soil. This causes the process of eutrophication to occur, and the river becomes enriched with nutrients that result in the growth of aquatic plants. And then that results in the depletion of dissolved oxygen. Without sufficient levels of dissolved oxygen, aquatic wildlife is badly affected because of the poor water quality. And our main focus, stormwater, also is a big contributor to this because it causes non-point source pollution. Soil can help to prevent this by means of infiltration. Infiltration is the ability of soil to hold or store water for a certain amount of time. More water infiltration allows less soil erosion and pollution flow into rivers. Healthier soils mean healthier water supplies for the public and wildlife. Healthy soils retain and break down fertilizers and other pollutants, which helps prevent non-point source pollution from reaching aquifers and waterways. For our water management plan, we focused on silt loam soil, which is an abundant soil type along the White River. Silt loam has a medium water holding capacity, and in water management plans, this is ideal because it is the best soil to use in most cases.
Forestry is also affected by stormwater runoff. Downstream impacts of excess runoff include severe stream bank erosion and loss of stream habitat. Polluted runoff is one of the greatest threats to clean water in the U.S., so to solve this problem, trees and forests reduce stormwater runoff by capturing and storing rainfall in the canopy and releasing water into the atmosphere through evapotranspiration. They also improve stream quality and watershed health primarily by decreasing the amount of stormwater runoff and pollutants that reach our local waters.
So Wildlife is also heavily affected by stormwater. It reduces base flows that will cause small streams and lakes to dry up and reduce their ability to dilute pollutants. The pollutants can stress fish and other wildlife species that depend on clean water for food and habitat. This causes an extremely unbalanced ecosystem. Also, phytoplankton and plants that will bloom and grow from the runoff nutrients. As more of these plants grow, more dies and sink to the bottom of the water. Bacteria waiting at the bottom then feed on the dead matter while using oxygen and creating more carbon dioxide. This creates what is widely known as a hypoxic, or a dead zone. This oxygen-free zone pushes species of fish and other mobile species out, creating an area that is almost unusable for commercial or recreational ways. And so our first key component to our plan is a building located near the White River in Lawrence County. The purpose of our water management building is to act as a testing site as well as an interactive location for the public to participate in sustainability fairs. We plan for our local stakeholders to be Spring Mill State Park as well as Blue Spring Caverns that is located extremely close to the plan.
As mentioned previously, we chose to focus on silt loam soils as they are ideal for water management plans, and there are a lot of silt loam soils around the White River. To determine the land to use for our plan, we focused on the east fork of the White River near Blue Spring Caverns, which is about right here. And after looking at each type of soil around the river from the Natural Resources Conservation Service Web Soil Survey, we found that the best area would be this soil type CSPB right here, which is a silt loam soil. And this was the best area of land to use because there was no eroded soil and it was also relatively bare.
So, when looking at the bigger picture, what you just saw is this area right in here. This is a diagram of the entire White River in the general area, as well as all of the potential hazards to it. The main blue line is the White River. The smaller blue lines are various tributaries, smaller creeks, streams, so on and so forth, that can potentially bring in pollutants into the White River. Now you'll notice a lot of these blue dots all throughout here. What those are areas where the riparian zone, those lines of trees have been pretty much stripped away either entirely or for the most part. And these areas are, as we've said before, now open to erosion, pollution, and fertilizers can now be carried in by stormwater into the river itself. And then you have these red dots as well, which are other hazards, such as limestone quarries which have been abandoned, which are a particular issue for us here in Lawrence County because we were once a very limestone-based economy. But now that a lot of the limestone quarries have been closed, former quarry holes fill up with all these pollutants. They're brought in by stormwater, and they move underground through karsts and cave systems into the rivers.
So some quick numbers to consider is our current population in Lawrence County is 44,850, and for the next 10 to 20 years we expect that to be very fluid for anywhere between 23,000 to 42,000. 43,000 to 42,000. And our average daily use of water in Lawrence County is about 8.2 million gallons per day. So these are some numbers to consider with our Lawrence County area.
And with that, we started planning our water budget, and we did this by looking at the precipitation, evaporation, evapotranspiration, and then we calculated the surface runoff and the groundwater runoff. So after calculating that, we found that the average change in storage over the course of a year was 6.435, and that's how we calculated our budget.
Okay, so to educate the public, we have created a website to educate the community about our water management plan and how they can be involved. We have made a format to answer questions the public could have and give an opportunity to volunteer in community cleanup days, and inform them on how to reduce their water waste.
So we focused on the major 6 questions, and for example, for the Who page, we showed ways that the community could help and become informed.
And on our next page, we talk about the About Us, which is kind of what our water management plan is about. And we show the lenses that we use of sustainability to where we use throughout the plan of an economic standpoint, environmental standpoint, and a social aspect as well.
And our last page is our contact page. This is where people from our community can schedule a volunteer time for our management plan to plant trees and help with interactive ways of testing water and things like that. And that's where they can put in their information. So that basically concludes our presentation today. We are really thrilled to get this going, and we're really happy for your time. And happy Earth Day.